Cool. So before we get to the new stuff, I did want to talk a little bit about this because since last we talked, I did review this. This is fantastic.
I got a great
So,
story about that too.
oh, cool. Tell us, tell us, tell us. Yeah, this
Well, I
is
don't know if
wonderful.
you, I'm sure if you've listened to it in review, you hear the helicopter flyover, right?
Yeah, you
So
got, yeah.
It was done at the Monterey Jazz Festival, I think in '58, and it's an outdoor festival. So I like to listen to music really loud in my house. I mean, I do have a hearing impairment, but even when I'm wearing my hearing aids, I like music loud, and I can't listen to music loud very often because my family's around. So on this particular summer day, my family was out doing something, and I received the files, the transferred files for the first time to listen. And so I have my stereo over there. I have it cranked up. I'm in the kitchen doing something, making lunch or whatever I was doing in there, and I've got the door open, and all of a sudden it sounds like there's a helicopter in my living room, and I beeline around my kitchen, and I run outside, and it gets quieter. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a flyover on the actual recording. I didn't even, I mean, I didn't know. And it was so loud. And, it's one of those things that makes these kinds of archival and these kinds of discoveries exciting is that, you don't have control over the elements. And so I'm really proud of that record. It's a really wonderful, it's a really wonderful collection of music. It's two performances, one 58 at Monterey, and then 10 years later, not quite 10, 8 years later at the Penthouse in Seattle. And so, yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with it. It's a great release. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's a great listen. And of course, as there are two different recordings, you got two different types of sound qualities, but it really, to me, I love live performances. And so something like this is, to me, exciting because it's like you get this unearthed recording that was never, would have never come out. No one would have ever
Absolutely.
heard it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's wonderful. The playing on it's just fantastic. I mean, what really pretty intense. So,
Yeah, it's pretty burning. It's pretty burning. So yeah, I'm proud of that one. Those archival recordings are a labor of love. They're financially very restrictive, and the vinyl market it's a tough market these days. I see behind you have the Bill Evans recording, and what's happening is that you have the biggies like all the like the Bill Evans that Resonance is continuing to put out, the Miles Davis legacy stuff, all the big names, and so people gravitate understandably to those names. And then you had the stuff that I was putting out, which for a while was really great in terms of sales. But now what you're having is all these companies like Kraft and the list goes on and on. People who are reissuing vinyl, it's 40 and $50. The Tone Poet series has exploded. It's hard for a smaller label like mine putting out music by Shelly Manne and Jack McDuff and Pepper Adams. People only have so much money, and so the market right now, the vinyl market is really flooded. So it's very difficult to make projects like that work financially. So we have to be really selective in terms of what we do. Shelly Man didn't do as well as we thought, and it didn't do as well as we hoped it would. And the vinyl market is just it's flooded. It's flooded right now, and it's a little bit difficult, but it's no less fun to do. But you have to temper your expectations a little bit.
right. And I just saw, I don't know if you saw that Blue Note just came out with a subscription
I did.
service.
I did.
Just came out, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and it's
they're
great. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. They're doing that. I mean, I considered signing up for it. But how can a smaller independent label, compete with that? We can hang out with them in the same arena, but it's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt, unless we unearth a Coltrane recording, which we would never get licensed to release anyway. So it's tough. Those archival recordings are tough. So I don't want to say it's over by any stretch, but it's not easy.
so you're looking at doing some more. Do you have any more in the
Yeah, I mean
works?
we've got a Charles Tolliver release that I'm really
Oh yeah,
excited
I
about.
wanted to
That's
talk to
coming
about.
out. Yeah, that's coming out in 2 weeks. In I don't know when this is airing, but Black Friday. And then we have a Dave Robbins big band, which will not be a name that's familiar to you, but I will try to make sure that you get a copy of that. It's a local big band from the '60s that is absolutely killer. It's a fantastic double LP that is going to be unrecognizable to pretty much everybody. But it was a golden age in Vancouver at that time, which has quite a history. And there's a really neat story behind that. Maybe we can talk about that when you get it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just don't know. I don't know. It just depends. It just depends.
Cool. Well, I think this is a great one, and this one got a lot of views on the channel too. So I think a lot of people were interested in it. So at least I hope. I always say on this channel, if one person buys the record and tells somebody else, I'm happy. So.
Yeah, and that's always been my MO is that, I'm in this business and I'm trying to sell one record at a time, and I think that's part of what's helped me keep my spirits up. I mean, I'm lucky because my record label doesn't pay for my mortgage, and it doesn't pay for the food on my table. I'm lucky that way. I have other things, playing and booking and doing things like that. So I'm not suggesting the label's not doing well. I mean, it's doing great, but it's not something that I depend on income for. And so it allows me some freedoms that maybe some other people don't have. So I feel very fortunate with that.
Right on. Cool. Let's talk about some of these other ones that I reviewed. I had Bria on. She was absolutely wonderful to talk to about this record.
Yep.
Which is a fantastic record. I love all that New Orleans blues, great singing on here. Another great album that you put out here. So just give us your little reflection on this. We heard from Bria from her perspective as the person that played on this and kind of put it together. So how did you how did this come to be?
Yeah, well, first of all, what people who are watching this that may not know is Bria is from Vancouver, where I'm from. And so, I've known Bria, I have a personal relationship with Bria. She's younger than me, so and she plays a type of music like that I'm not, I'm not a New Orleans guy, so I'm not really in that scene. So Bria and I never really crossed paths in that way. But I've followed her career and her successes. She's an extremely kind person. And she's been very successful, and I'm very happy for her. So when her manager came to me through Bria, I was like, it was a natural fit. I get some funding from the Canadian government through Factor. You see the logo on the back there, the Foundation to Assist Canadian Talent on Record. So it was a very natural fit for us to work together. And she had the record recorded. I believe she had some funding for it, and so it came together very quickly. And it's a beautiful record. It's sold very well. Bria's out there. Bria's the kind of person that I want to be involved with. She's out touring and really pounding the pavement and moving units, as we like to say in the business. And so it's it was a very natural fit. So I'm really happy to be working with her.
How many of these were made? Do you know? Was it like 3 or 4?
I'm not sure. I think we're on this. I think we did 500.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. I really enjoy this record. I pull this out and play it regularly.
That's great.
It's a lot of fun to listen to.
Good.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to this one here. Which again, I love the cover on this. When I saw this, I was like, man, who is this? Like, who's this guy? I've never heard of Charles Chen. Charles Play.
Yeah, that's funny. Charles Chen came to me via a guy named Tim Lin, who is a saxophone. Well, first of all, Tim Lin's a great saxophone player, but I know him he's actually who I bought my new my con from after my horn got stolen. He's a repair guy. So I was introduced to Charles by him, and so he sent me the record, and I mean, Ralph Moore's on it, Peter and Kenny Washington, and what's not to like? And so, and he wanted to do vinyl, and that's basically how that came about. That's not one that I saw from start to finish. That's one that kind of came to me a little bit after the fact. But it's no less important to the catalog, if you will. So yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
Yeah,
It took me a minute with the cover. It's not my. That was Charles's choice.
Okay.
I like It's a drawing by, I think the drawing is by a relative of his. And it's not that I don't like the drawing. It took me a minute to get with it, but it's very cool. It's definitely a unique looking cover, and it's a nice tie-in for sort of what he's going for. Charles is doing another one with me as well that'll come out sometime in the new year.
Okay, and then it's so I was reading a little bit about him. I don't know a whole lot. There's not much information on him, but it said that he was a Microsoft engineer or something like that. Or
I
he,
believe
yeah.
that.
So
This is going to sound funny. I don't know much about him either. So
yeah, okay. Well, I'm trying to get him on. He did respond by email, so he said he's interested in coming on. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have him on and we can learn about
cool.
it. Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
that'll be really neat. All right, and then we got this other album, which I just got in a couple weeks ago, which I love this album, the Mickey Yamanaka album. So tell us about, because this is like your third, I think your third record with her, right?
Yeah, so we did. It is the third. I keep forgetting about the first one, Mickey. So I mean, first of all, Mickey is an extremely talented woman, so it's a natural fit for the label for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is her talent, but she's also, again, talking about Bria, she's also a generation of musician that. And I want to be careful how I choose my words here, but that kind of gets it. Not that the older generation doesn't get it, but the older generation comes from a different time, and things have changed big time, right across the board. And Mickey gets it, and Mickey's easy to work with. I think one of the reasons why these musicians generally like working with me is that I don't operate in the old mode where I pay you, you record for me, and then I never want to hear from you again. I'm like, I pay you, you record for me. What are your thoughts on the sound? What are your thoughts on the graphics? What do you want to see for your record so you're out there being proud of the record? That's really important to me, and that causes me a lot of problems in some ways. But at the end of the day, and Mickey is a perfect example, we both have something that we really, really are proud of, and she's happy to be out there saying, here's my record on Cellar Music. I love it. I want you to buy it, And Mickey's actually doing another one as a side person for me with a great Brazilian singer named Jamile, and she also just recorded as a side person with her trio in New York with me just last week. For a record by a friend of mine named James Dandifer. So she's somebody that I really like to work with. She's got a lot of response from the general public, a lot of response from media and press, and so I'm happy to be working with her in this way. It's great, and listen to it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
this is like a
great.
piano trio record, and she's really dealing on this record, and it's great.
Yeah, it is. So I was really excited about this, and actually, I was able to contact her by email, and she said that she wants to come on the channel to talk a little bit too. So I'm not sure when that'll happen. Everybody's so busy these days. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe we'll have her on. And I'm really excited to talk to her because it looks like she's pretty big in the New York jazz scene, I think.
Yep,
she does a lot of that.
She's doing great stuff out there. She's doing really well. So.
All right, let's talk. There's some other new things coming out that I've got on my list here. So, The Center of Gravity Live at Smalls by Dwayne Clemens, who I'm not very familiar with, but I listened to that streaming, and I was like, this is pretty. So it's on my list to get. I don't buy a whole lot of CDs, but this one's on my list to buy. Tell us a little bit about that one. That's, of course, you've been doing this partner project for the Smalls.
Yeah, that's one of the last ones. I think we might have one more coming. I don't know a lot about Dwayne Clemens either. I know that he lives in Europe now, and it's a very I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's a very raw, beautifully raw, honest recording. When I listen to it, that's what I think. I don't know why I think that. Dwayne is of an older generation and somebody that maybe we should know more about. And so I'm happy to do this. And that was kind of the impetus behind Spike doing this series, is paying homage, if you will, to some of the older generation of musicians that, and some are famous, like, George Coleman we did, and some are less famous, like Kirk Lightsey and in this case Dwayne Clemens. So it's a wonderful record. The band is really good too, and some people that we haven't heard of, like Amanda Sedgwick and Aaron. His name escapes me. Aaron. Why can't I remember his last name? Who's the tenor player? It's not Henderson. It's gonna bug me. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Anyways, a great tenor player, who you see playing at Smalls a lot and in the New York area. I can't. It's bothering me that I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna pull it
I
up
feel bad.
and look.
But yeah, it's yeah. So it's a nice release, and it's nice. It's a nice addition to the catalog. I'm so happy to be working with Spike on all this stuff.
Aaron Johnson.
Aaron Johnson, thank you. Yeah, and Amanda Sedgwick and Jinju Yu on piano.
Yep.
And Taru Akamoto. So yeah, there's some names that you don't hear of too often on this record, which is always nice.
Yeah, it's a cool sounding record. It's on my list. I just got so many I can't keep up. So
Yeah, I know.
That one's interesting. The History of the Vibraphone is also on my list with Warren Wolf. That looks like a cool record as well. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will.
That
Tell
one's
us
on
about
vinyl. Did you know
Yes.
that one's on vinyl? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Warren Wolf. What can you say about Warren Wolf? I mean, he's he's a supremely talented multi-instrumentalist, and of course, maybe came to prominence playing in Christian McBride's Inside Straight Band. I mean, he was starting to get a reputation before that, and now I believe he's in the San Francisco Jazz Collective. Wonderful guy, and wanted to do this History of Vibraphone project. It's a really diverse kind of project. You have the, I can't remember the name of the tune, Baby I See You Looking at Me, which is kind of like a groove. It could be perfect fit for smooth jazz radio. And then you've got, of course, his straight ahead burning stuff, and then and then some more modern stuff. So great record, really good band, wonderful sound, wonderful photography again, by William Brown on the cover. So yeah, I'm happy that one's also doing really well. It's been number one on the Jazz Week charts, I think, for 5 weeks. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah, it's great.
Then one that's on my hasn't come out yet. This one is a double record, I believe. That's What's Up by the Heavy Hitters.
Yeah, that one's coming out.
Tell us
very
about
soon.
that, because I've got that on my wish list here. So
Sure, that was so that was part of a tour that I booked for that band, which ended up in Vancouver for my 50th birthday last December, and we recorded, and I felt like this was a special occasion, and so we did a double LP of it, and the sound is incredible for a live record. I mean, it's amazing. Mike did all the editing and worked with the engineer directly, and he did a phenomenal job. It sounds incredible. Playing is great. The writing is great. That's one of those records, people ask me, because I listen to them so much through the whole process, bored is the wrong word, but I'm kind of done at the end. Like, I don't need to hear that record anymore. I've heard it. I find like I come back to them several years later. The Heavy Hitters, I've probably listened to 150 times. I love it. And it could be, that I'm biased because it was my birthday. And so there's some sentimental value or sentimental things in there, but it's such a beautiful record and it sounds great. And I'm excited to have that on double vinyl for sure.
When's that one? That comes out in a few weeks, right?
Correct.
That's it. Yeah, right on. I'm excited about that. Then we got the Live at the Captain's Cabin by Charles Tolliver.
Yeah. So that comes out Black Friday. That's part of an archive that I bought from a gentleman in Edmonton. We had greater hopes for that archive. We ran into some licensing or licensing is not the right word, but we ran into some estate issues with people not granting us permission. So the first one from that archive was the Pepper Adams Live at Room at the Top. And then we managed to get this Charles Tolliver out, which is great. And it's rare because in all of the archival projects, nobody's ever been alive. Charles Tolliver's live and sounding great. So he was really helpful and really great to work with. And it's a really wonderful sounding record where I'm very excited because, This project, like Strata East, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but Strata East was about, it was black jazz. And so I really wanted that. I really wanted that to be front and center. So Angelica Biener did the essay. And while I'm not super up on exactly all of her accomplishments, she's a black author and journalist who's done incredible work for, I believe, for NPR and some other things. She did a phenomenal job of the essay. We had Eric Scott Reed, the great pianist, do an essay on John Hicks. We had Jeremy Pelt interview Charles Tolliver, which is very cool. And the music is incredible. It's from a live date at the Captain's Cabin in Edmonton in 1972, I believe. And it's just really, the music is very powerful. And I think that one's going to do very well.
Is that on the reel to reel? Is that
correct?
And is that going to be vinyl and CD or
on double vinyl and CD? Correct.
Okay, so that's going to be awesome. That's definitely going to be on. And when's that one come out? That's Black Friday.
November 29th, which is I believe Black Friday RSD.
Yep. Then we've got another. I guess the next one you're on, the "You Don't Know Jack" by Brian Charette. Is that's
Brian Charette? Yeah.
Charette. Okay, I always mispronounce people's names famously on this channel. Yeah. Oh wow.
Can you see that?
And that's coming out soon, right? Next a month.
Coming out. I think December 6th is the day that comes out. And
you're on that one.
Yeah, I'm on that one. Brian Charette is great. He'd be a great guy to interview on your show. He's a very insightful guy. That one was done here after Brian and I did a record called Jackpot a couple years ago, which did really well. Brian's a beautiful guy. I consider Brian a close friend and an ally. Just a wonderful guy. And so that record's great. He wrote a whole bunch of brand new music for it. I think we do a couple of Jack McDuff tunes on there, but most of the songs are I wrote one, he wrote he wrote 3 or 4. So it's a nice record. I was just listening to it actually before we came on.
Oh, okay. So that's since this one, that's probably, or the home cooking, that's probably the last time I think that you were on your own label, right? Is that the last one you put out, or
Champion and me put?
Oh right. Which I did that one. Yeah. Which is a great record. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we talked about that one.
Yeah, we did.
There's no shortage of stuff going on. So.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Then there was an interesting one that I saw. I don't think maybe it doesn't come out till next year, maybe, called Sound Elements by Ellen Friedlander.
Oh yeah.
Now this looks interesting because it's not this doesn't look something that you normally. It looks a little bit different than maybe perhaps some of the other stuff you put out. So tell us a little bit about it.
It does. Elam is somebody that reached out to me. He reached out to me about wanting to put this record out, and he gave me the band, and I was like, wow. It's Louis Perdomo on piano, Abraham Burton on saxophone, and Eric McPherson on drums. And I don't really know what to say. I mean, he sent it to me. It's different than the stuff that I gravitate towards from a listening standpoint, but no less beautiful and incredible. And so I agreed to do it. And I want to make sure I'm clear about how I say this. I didn't regret it, but I do sometimes have that thought, like, are you expanding too far, or are you doing things that you shouldn't be doing? But then what happened is he got together with my designer, and the designer's partner is an artist, and she's done some art for us before. My Strings record is her. She's done a couple other ones. And then they sent me the art. I mean, I had agreed to do the record and was happy about it. And then they sent me the art. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy this record's on the label just based on the way it looks. And like many artists, you'll see, if you haven't figured it already, are doing more vinyl because that's what's selling. I did a show here. I promoted an Eric Reed show. It was a solo piano concert. just this last weekend, and I co-presented with Frankie's Jazz Club, and Eric didn't bring any CDs, so I just brought all my vinyl. I brought, heavy hitters and a bunch of other stuff, and I put it out on the table, and people are eating it up. I mean, when I say eating it up, I think we sold 4 or 5, but 4 or 5 from an artist that wasn't even playing at the show. So a lot more artists are wanting to do vinyl, which is great. So I'm excited about this Elam record because it sounds really good, and those are some heavy hitting musicians. And it's going to be a great record, and it's just a nice addition to the label, and it kind of shows that we're into different stuff. I don't want to ever be pigeonholed into being that guy that only likes a certain thing, so,
Right.
And yeah, it's important. It's important to do different stuff. And Cellar Music is sort of, it's developing into, less of a, like if you take, like, for example, Smoke Sessions, which is a very highly curated thing. They might put out 12 a year, maybe 15. We've become a label that is a musician's label, if you will, that is working with musicians and helping musicians get their music out to the world in a really good way. And I'm proud of that. It's not what I set out to do at the beginning, but I think it's really nice that it's developed into that. It's become a really nice thing. I can't do everything. So, I still sort of monitor what I put out by what I'm passionate about and what I think is going to have a lasting impact on things. So I'm proud of the fact that it's become that. So
Yeah, it's great. You have a label like yours where you have all these working musicians, because I mean, you guys are keeping jazz alive. I always say that on this channel. It's records like this. We all love all the reissues and stuff like that, but for me, probably now 70-80% of the music I'm buying is from labels like yours, that are working musicians, and a lot of times younger musicians.
yeah,
That are coming up.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's the independent record label. It's kind of always been like that through the test of time. You had all the biggies, and then we think of Blue Note, for example, as a big time label back in the day, but they weren't. They were an independent record label, just like
Right.
Cellar Music and Prestige. They were all independent. They
Riverside,
didn't have
yeah.
the Columbia and I guess RCA, and those were the major labels. So, the tradition lives on, and we keep putting out a lot of music. And as long as, people keep buying it and streaming it and buying it and listening to it, then we'll keep going.
Right. Are there any other new releases that you want to talk about before?
Oh
Those
man,
are the ones I had on my
what?
list. But you've got, like I said, there's like 30 of them over
There's
the
so
last.
many. I guess
Got a
I
lot
give
of them.
special mention to. I'll give special mention to 3. The first one is the new Venetia Gould recording. It's incredible. She's such a phenomenal talent, singer, songwriter, unbelievable. Her record, She's Not Shiny, She's Not Smooth, falls in that category of
Saw that one.
raw and honest and real and pure and happy and sad and angry and depressing and exciting. Everything is wrapped up in that record.
And that one's not
The
out
record-
yet, right? That one's
It's
coming out
just
soon.
out, I think, like right now, like
Oh, okay.
this week or last week. I can't even remember anymore, Matthew, what's coming and what's going. Another one that comes out this Friday is from a young tenor player named Jacob Chung, who's actually Canadian but is living in New York City. I am so thrilled with how the young talent that is out there right now, who are swinging, who are really showing a great amount of reverence to their elders and to the forefathers of this music. It's really exciting. Jacob Chung was just here in Vancouver performing with his quartet. It was phenomenal. That's a great release. There's something that just came out by a trumpet player that not a lot of people know a lot about. He's in the show. He's in the show world. He plays in the show orchestra. His name's Irv Grossman. He's kind of like a Woody Shaw, kind of Freddie Hubbard kind of cat. His band is great. David Hazeltine, Todd Kuhlman, Billy Drummond, Andrew Gould, and Sam Dillon are on that record. It's awesome. So yeah, I mean, just go to cellarmusic.com, Cellar Music Group or cellarlive.com and check out what we got. There's so much good music coming out, and there's all kinds of. It's a very diverse catalog at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it's all good. Buy it all, stream it
Yeah,
all,
you've
download it
got
all.
you're probably up to what 350 releases on your
Yeah,
label or something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
getting close to 400 now, I think.
400.
So
Wow. Yeah, that's exciting. So I'll definitely put a link below to I guess
cool.
the Bandcamp shop you got where you have
Yep.
everything pretty much gets
Yep.
listed on there in all the different formats, whether it's on digital CD or digital CD vinyl.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. It's
Right
all
on.
there. You can get it all there. You can stream it all, and so I can make payments on my big mansion and my
Yeah,
big fancy car that I drive, and you know.
yeah. The what sax are you playing there? Is that the one you bought that replaced the other one?
Beautiful. Well, no, I didn't. The one I bought from Tim Lin, I bought a con, and it wasn't for me. My con that got ripped off was a horn of a lifetime, and it was too hard to replace. I'm playing an old Mark Six. It's a beautiful shape. It's original lacquer. It's from about 1968, and playing an old Auto Link, and it's sorry, I'm getting caught up in my pants here. It's got that good old big sound, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah. What? So when you're talking about mouthpieces, I know they're different uh, sizes, if you will, that allow more air or less air to go through, right? On the mouthpieces.
Yeah,
Is that true?
I mean, this is a fairly,
I'm,
this is a fairly, what do you call it, like medium chamber, I guess. I wouldn't say that it's big. I play a fairly, I think, what you would call a soft setup. Um, so yeah, it's not, yeah, it's pretty, yeah, it's pretty normal, if you will. I don't know if normal is the word. It's average setup. I'm having problems with reeds. A lot of saxophone players right now are having problems with reeds. So this reed sound. I mean, I don't know if it comes over the computer, but it's a little stuffy. It's a little tubby, so there's reed problems happening right now. But it's the life of a saxophone player. You got to figure it out.
yeah, that's one instrument. I play guitar. I play piano. Saxophone's always been on my list. I've been close a couple of times of pulling the trigger and buying one. I'm just never sure what to get. And anyway, I'm always curious about that because I talk to the saxophone players. We have a jam session here in Birmingham, Alabama, and every Tuesday night. And there's a lot of great players that come up there and play, but they're always talking about the kind of reed they have.
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah.
the packs, in a one pack, how many good reads do you get out of it? I don't know. Anyhow, I always find that kind of fascinating. So because I guess they get kind of stuck to one type of mouthpiece with the particular reed, right?
Yep, yeah. I mean, it's a constant struggle to find a setup that works, and then just when you think you got it that works, you get a crappy reed. And I work on my reeds a little bit. I sand them and try to make them sound a little better. This one needs a little sanding, which I'll do after we get off and see if I can brighten it up a little bit. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's funny. Yep.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on here, and hopefully we can do regular updates, as new releases come out. And hopefully at some point, too, I'd like to just talk to Cory the musician, talk a little bit about that could be a whole nother episode about playing
Anytime.
saxophone and all that kind of stuff, because that really interests me. So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. Anytime. And if you want, when you get off, send me an email of the things that you need CD wise, and I'll send a package to you.
oh, awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Send me a
I'll
note. Just make sure you put your address in there. I'll have my distributor in Pennsylvania send it out.
Cool. I'll do reviews on them. I'll let everybody have a listen. I'm actually setting up as we speak. I'm putting a CD player into my listening room where I can parallel it with my vinyl record.
Oh, great.
I can. What I'm going to do on some of them is I'm going to compare CD versus vinyl, the sound. And
Right.
I think that'd be kind of fun to do. So I'm going to do some of those, but that way I'll be able to review CDs and those. So that's kind of coming up here soon. So
Oh, very cool.